try to speak from your diaphragm, from your lady parts.
Oh, God.
Okay.
The time continuum has been disrupted, creating this new temporal event sequence resulting in this alternate reality.
English.
Brother.
Sideways in Time!
All right. Well, welcome everyone to episode 0, I'm calling it, to the Sideways in Time podcast. It's kind of a podcast. Hence the Twitter handle at podcast kinda, because Sideways in Time and every variation of it was taken on Twitter. I am your host, of course, co-host. I'm used to saying host, co-host, Lucha Chris, and directly in front of me, the beautifully bearded young man, Patriot Pat. What's up, Pat?
Oh, you spoil me with your compliments.
I gotta.
Yeah, but I am beautiful. You know, it's the way God made me. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
It's very patriotic.
I try to look good for America.
It's working.
You know, be a beacon for all the people in the world.
So how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. We actually haven't seen each other face to face in probably close to a month.
Yeah, about that. You had to go find greener pastures.
Sure.
Yeah. Leave me in the mines working with dead canaries, and
wow.
you had to go out and chase your dream, you bastard.
I'm flipping birds, just not fast food. So thanks for making me seem as glorious as I made you sound. So you just got recently back.
I returned from.
It's this Smoothie King, man. It's got me all wired up.
You got that spiked with some apricot or something?
Something like that. So you just got back from Vegas here recently, right? How was that?
Yeah. Oh, it was a blast. It was kind of my wife and mine's honeymoon. We went out to Vegas for a week. We did Vegas, Grand Canyon, Red Rock Canyon, Hoover Dam, because that's the dad part of the trip. You got to squeeze that in.
You got to check those
out. Grand Canyon, absolutely beautiful. If you go there and you don't cry at just the majesty, you're dead inside. And then Vegas, I mean, that was my first time ever in Vegas. Vegas is great. We only lost like $80.
Nice. Did you win any money?
Casey, my wife, she won $20 in the airport. On the way we were right before we flew out.
Nice.
So
some extra peanuts for the flight home.
Yeah. Well, we flew Spirit Air, so everything.
Oh, okay.
You had to pay for the bag, pay for the seat, pay for the air blower, pay for the
Yep. They charge you to open the plane door. Just
exactly.
Yeah.
It was great. Walking up and down the strip, we did that a bunch of times, and I got accosted by titty cops. I don't know how many times. Just slutty little women dressed up.
They're actually on the payroll?
I think so, yeah.
Hell yeah, I got to go to Vegas.
They were trying to arrest me for being too sexy, so you were right about your... people are going to see the picture of us, and they're going to be like,
I agree.
I don't think that. They're going to be like, who's the fucking Ted Nugent Rudy?
They need to switch. That guy needs a mask. the other guy, not so much.
Jesus. So Vegas was great, and then next year we're talking either the Badlands or Rocky Mountain next summer.
Rocky Mountain, I know for a fact is dope. I don't think I've ever been to the Badlands, but it sounds badass.
It is, yeah. So, I saw pictures of it. It looks awesome. So.
Sweet, hell yeah! Anything, I'm sure there's things that should be left in Vegas. There's always. You can't bring everything back.
Well, that's why we buried the hookers in the desert. So.
That's supposed to stay in Vegas.
Yeah, we were inside city limits, so it's all good.
We'll edit that part out. So as I said before, this is
lots of hookers.
So many hookers. This is the first. Actually, like I said, we're calling it the episode 0.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I can't call it Ground Zero. Clive, whatever his name, Clive Lewis will probably.
Yeah. Well, we're getting sued on episode 0. So the reason being because we're just working out some kinks. We kind of have a general idea of the direction we want to take the format of this show. I would expect it changes quite a bit just because both of us are very, indecisive. I would
spastic a little.
Spastic. But we have a general idea. If you're not following us on social media, I'm at Lucha Chris TV on Twitter.
I'm at Gone Patrick, but if you type Patriot Pat,
Pat, yeah.
That's my handle.
Because it's not Gone.
No, it's Gaughan.
There you go. And then you can also find us on Facebook, but man.
Yeah.
On Facebook, we do have, I think I called it the Sideways in Time Nerds.
Yeah,
it's a little private group in case as we get going, anybody wants to jump in and...
We'll be asking questions. We'll be taking polls. We'll be, getting requests and stuff.
Yeah, so, but if you haven't been following us on social media for the last few weeks, we've been kind of pushing this show, and we're going to have a lot of different fun segments that we're going to go through and try to change it up for most people's wrestling podcasts, because there's a lot.
But why are we calling it Sideways in Time, Chris?
Well...
Looch.
That's going on the next shirt. Looch. Well, to take it back and kind of quickly, obviously you and I met at your place of employment, my ex-place of employment, and we were working together. We kind of got along for the most part, just as work buddies.
Okay, let me tell the story. We worked together in the department, and he had just started. I'd been there for 6 months or whatever, and this is where the romance began. All love stories start with a great introduction.
I agree.
So I'm in the back working, and somebody picked something up, and I said, "Oh, look at you, big strong boy!" And I went, "Big strong boy, big strong boy!" And he fucking meerkats. He goes, "Did somebody say big strong boy? Is somebody a Tyler Bate fan?" And I was like, holy shit! And then that's when we realized we were kindred spirits, and it was a beautiful thing,
So because of that, we fast forward a little bit. We're good friends. We keep in touch. At work, we get in trouble quite a bit because we'd rather spend most of our time either talking music or wrestling or in comics or whatever. And it's going to be hard for you guys to imagine hearing us talk about it, but there's a machine that we have to plug in to charge it. The machine has the clips that go together resemble the clips that Doc Brown has to connect in Back to the Future at the clock tower.
I forgot about that.
If you're listening and you're not watching, which obviously this one you're not, if you don't know what we look like, Pat's a taller, white-beard, white-haired guy, a little bit older than me. I'm the short, dark-haired, baby-face-ish little guy. So we resemble Marty and Doc, and that whole moment happened.
We're like Dollar General Marty and Doc.
Exactly. So anyway, so from that point forward, we kind of had a little inside joke with each other and around work that we were like Marty and Doc. That all being said, this is the longest intro of all time.
No shit.
So, Sideways in Time, because Forward to the Past is already taken. One of the big segments that we're going to do is going to be, I don't know if we're going to continue to call it What If. I think I have some other ideas in mind that'll make it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, well, Disney kind of wrapped that up too.
Yeah, and there's a lot of What If wrestling things, but I've never heard any of them actually.
Maybe, how about ...
So that being said, Sideways in Time, because one of the main segments, as of right now, today, we're going to call it What If. We're going to go back in time. And we're going to, with the help of you guys, and we actually got a lot of help from you guys early on with some questions that we asked about, what are the best pro wrestling what-if moments? There's been a lot, and I'm not going to drop them all now because we've got a podcast to do in the future. But one of the more popular ones, especially since this is the 25th year anniversary of the NWO, we figured it would probably make most sense to dive into this one. So at the end of the podcast today, we're going to do the what if Sting ended up being the third man instead of Hogan. I don't know if anybody knows, but Sting was the only other person in mind in case Hogan decided he didn't want to do it. So at the end of the podcast, stick around. We're going to do that one. That'll be a lot of fun. But to start off, I don't know if this will be a regular thing or not either, but we have to talk about...
It was such a big week. I mean, we picked the perfect week or the best week or the worst week, because so much happened.
We're either going to drown in all the podcasts talking about what happened this week in wrestling, or we're going to shine, which I'm going to go with shine.
Oh, let's hope so.
So, start us off. Where do you want to start with this?
Okay. There's, why don't we just start with Rampage?
Do it.
Punk coming back, that was I was never a huge CM Punk fan. I enjoyed his work, but I was never like best in the world and stuff. I was like, I was the casual CM Punk fan.
Right.
Didn't hate him. If you looked at the bell curve, I was more on the like side, but not all the way at the end. But still, him coming back, even though everybody said worst kept secret,
even they said that.
Yeah, and when his music started playing, I didn't even hear it at first because the crowd was so loud you couldn't hear the first few riffs.
I thought that too.
And which also, Living Colour, my favorite band in 8th grade. I wore that tape out. That's how old I am. I had a fucking cassette tape. But anyway.
Hell yes.
So CM Punk comes out, and I was just like, oh my God. And, they did that perfectly. They gave him the mic. They said, go out there, do your thing. The dude is a master on the mic. I mean, whether you like his in-ring ability or not, his mic work, he is up there with Piper and, just the greats.
So, on that point, maybe he's not the best wrestler in the world. Some may argue that, and they have every right to do so. But Hogan wasn't the best wrestler in the world. He got over because he was a badass pro wrestler.
Yep.
Not just the wrestler. He could talk. He could do the whole thing. CM Punk's the same way. My other point, and maybe I hate to use the term, but trumps all other points. Jim Cornette is on record saying that is not even close to how he would have done it, but it was better.
Yep.
That they nailed it, and I have to agree. Like you, I honestly, around the time Punk was really starting to finally blow up back in those days, I was slowly inching away from wrestling. I was still kind of paying attention when I could, but I wasn't interested in that era. I wasn't a Del Rio fan. There was just so many elements I wasn't interested in. Diva era, didn't care. Punk was the interesting one in the room, but even then I wasn't really paying as much attention. Years later, fast forward, I've gone through and really dug in, like when the network was still alive, fuck Peacock, would dive in and really, check up on those things. Like you said, first of all, everybody knew he was coming, like you said, but it did not mean anything. It was amazing. It was an amazing, amazing moment. I thought the fact that Booker T, for whatever reason, says that he didn't do well because all he did was come in to talk about WWE. The funny part is he worked his way around even mentioning them by saying he left pro wrestling in 2005 and is now returning to pro wrestling in 2021.
He insinuated, but he didn't. He was insinuated, but that's fucking semantics. Everybody knows.
You have to mention it.
Yeah.
It has to be brought up because he hasn't been around since he worked there. It's been 8 years since he left that company.
And the reasons he left, he was working sick, and what do you have, like a fucking goiter or whatever? Sepsis or some shit. That's just pus filled
and just burnt out.
Yeah,
angry for other there was a storm brewing that got him away from it, but. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I assumed he'd never be back to wrestling. He made it sound like he hated it.
Yeah, everybody did. I mean, so having him back it's going to be fun. And seeing him working with the younger talent, seeing him working with the established talents.
And saying it straight up that his main focus is to be there. He said it in that promo that his main focus is to be there to help the young talent.
Which, also, I texted this to Lucha. That's what I'm calling you now. That's your fucking name. See, you can abbreviate Patriot and you just get Pat, so it doesn't fucking matter.
You do? I didn't even think about that. Or Riot.
Oh, yeah.
Pat Riot,
yeah.
Anyways, continue.
I used to be related to Ruby, but she left the family, so...
My Soho princess.
Her vignettes are great, those little vignettes. And,
yeah.
But anyway, back on track. AEW bringing up the younger stars. I know NXT does it from time to time again, but I tweeted this or texted this to Chris, and then I blasted this on Facebook. I used to do ring announcing for this little promotion, a couple little promotions in Indiana, and one of the guys that I used to call to the ring literally in a 4-H fairgrounds barn a couple of times, but. He was on Dark this past Tuesday night, Isaiah Moore. He's in a smush match, as my wife calls it. He's in a squash match with the Dark Order and stuff, and he took the pin. But you know what? He looked great in defeat. I'm watching. I wasn't watching as a fan at this point. I was watching, going, okay, I want to see this guy do well, and I think he sold well. I think so I'm hoping more happens for him.
I don't get very nervous anymore when AEW not smushes necessarily, but when those younger talents aren't necessarily always winning. It doesn't scare me like it did in WWE, NXT, other companies, because they're proving no matter what. Doesn't really matter right now. Let them get the ring rust, or not even ring rust. Let them get in there and learn what they're doing. Because when you have a roster of, first of all, their legends are booked correctly so far. I'm not saying that they won't one day maybe start screwing it up, but as of right now, they have done nothing to prove that they will. Their legends have come in and are in perfect spots. The young talent, the guys like Darby Allin, who are, now if he wasn't over before, is more over than he's ever been because CM Punk is reaching his hand out to him. Jungle Boy, I'm partial because that's like my favorite fucking dude on AEW in general, but give it 5-6 years, him, Sammy, fucking...
I always forget his name, the dude that... his brother went out, and so...
Matt Sydal.
No.
Oh.
He tagged with the Sydal brothers in the triple threat match. Dante Martin.
Yeah, oh my God.
Jesus, that dude is...
He's still got a little while, too, because he's only like 20.
But... What it's like
he's amazing.
He's up there with like Ricochet and like the human highlight reel type thing.
Yeah, and Ricochet's like 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's had a long career ahead of him that didn't have anywhere near the shine that Dante Martin's got right now.
Just dude is no way. Yeah, when he was doing him spinning around, then all of a sudden a stunner out of nowhere. And you're like, how the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, man. Like that. They're killing it over there. And then, again, with the whole Punk thing, and looking at it, if you look at it just the right way, even if he never really wrestles much, which I'm sure he's not going to wrestle a lot. He's going to be like a marquee guy. He's going to be not part-time, but semi-part-time.
Christian, he'll do 3-month runs,
right.
Take a little time off.
Exactly.
2-month run.
And apparently they've already been talking to him for almost 2 years about doing this, which... where before I was kind of worried if they bring in Punk and this is just like kind of a spur of the moment thing, then what happens to what they've already put down in place as far as stories? But if they've already had this in mind, Adam Page is gone because his wife's having a baby.
Oh, is that where I left off?
So perfect timing, because his heat, not heel heat, but he's got so much behind him. Everybody want him to beat Kenny for the AEW title. I don't think CM Punk is going that direction just yet. He might somewhere down the road, but he doesn't need a title yet. It's like The Fiend. You should have never put it on him. But the concept that he first of all, second episode ever of Rampage got over 1 million, possibly 2.
I think I saw 1.5 or 1.25. One of the.
I'll look it up here in a minute. I'll throw it in there. But yeah, just the idea that night 2 of a brand new show
on a Friday night at 10 o'clock.
Yes,
that's
nuts.
That's drinking time. That's party time.
Exactly, and so mission accomplished with bringing Punk in the way they did. Regardless, that's also bringing, and apparently nobody in the locker room is upset with this. Nobody's like, "Oh man, he's going to take our spot." He's there to help. It's like there's no one can convince me otherwise at this point.
Well, yeah, and how many of those? Like you look at the matches that followed for people that were like, oh, I'm going to keep on watching because Punk is back,
and it was awesome.
Yeah, then all of a sudden they get to see, Jurassic Express. They get to see, oh god, I'm blanking out what.
Cargill and Kiera Hogan.
Yeah.
And then the main event was Jungle Express or Jurassic Express.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was actually just listening to a Band from Ringside podcast on the way over here from last week, and they made a valid point too. I was kind of weird about it at first, but the idea of Rampage only being an hour is spectacular.
I love it because you get done and you want more.
Exactly.
And it's all wrestling. You get a little promo, but it's all wrestling.
I feel like it's going to be a big way to have powerful story progressions without having to go from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. Like, that one solid hour of just basically 3 matches, probably more than anything. Because honestly, I didn't watch it a lot in the beginning, but Dark and Dark Elevation, even though they're very long, they're awesome.
Yeah,
They have stories even going on down there, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, that was because I was watching Dark last night, and my wife was. She said, the storylines, are there? And I was like, well, the storylines do relate to the main roster, Dynamite and Rampage. I said, but if you don't watch Dark, you're not missing out on. It's just like, so.
It's character development more than it is actual storytelling.
It's like Dynamite is your steak, Dynamite and Rampage are your steak and potatoes, and then freaking Dark and Dark Elevation. That's like the candles and the napkins and stuff. It's like you can eat the meal without it.
Yeah,
and you're going to enjoy the meal, but this just gives you a little more.
It's fancy. Makes it a little daintier.
That way when you pick up your AEW tumbler. I don't know if they have those.
I don't know, but they should.
AEW Turvis tumbler. Cody's listening to this.
Yeah.
I don't even think we have somebody named Cody listening to this.
Oh, we might have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we might have one.
But
shout out Cody. Whichever one you want.
All
of them. We love Cody's.
That'll be our next T-shirt.
We love Cody's.
I don't even know. When you're drinking out your AEW Turvis tumbler, you have your pinky in the air.
Exactly.
That's the point I was getting into it, which lost all its fire because we sidetracked so much.
Yeah.
Did I mention I'm a 10-year stand-up comedian?
It's working out great. Far.
Yeah. I'm in a library in Kansas City, Missouri, recording a podcast.
It's gorgeous in there.
It's cool.
It's nice and shiny. Everyone can see us. It's really awkward.
I know. I should put my pants back on.
No, you shouldn't.
I get excited when I talk wrestling.
We're gonna run until the wheels fall off. In closing with the CM Punk thing, like super exciting. I think he'll be on Dynamite. Well, I don't know. Wait, this should either air this episode today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. But I think he'll be on Dynamite tonight. If not, he'll be at All Out on September 5th.
Oh, well, Dynamite's in Chicago tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, because I think they're doing like 2 weeks in Chicago.
Yeah, it would make sense if he showed up on time. I mean, come on. So, either way, he's got that match against Darby Allin on All Out on September 5th. So, that's going to be dope. I guess we could talk about, and we can go a few minutes on this one, SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah.
There was some good.
There
really was.
Okay, yeah, I want to get...
Takeaway.
I want to preface, because what I might be saying in the upcoming episodes might be, that I hate WWE and I'm bagging on WWE. And, I have been a WWE fan for over 30 years. My friend in grade school, his birthday fell around WrestleMania, so he would have his birthday party would be WrestleMania. So my first exposure to wrestling was WrestleMania 3. I knew I was watching something cool when I saw the Roddy Piper Adrian Adonis match at WrestleMania 3. I knew I was watching something cool. I knew I was watching something special when I saw Steamboat Savage. And I was, 12 years old, something like that. But I knew I was watching something special. Then you get to Hogan and Andre, and I knew that I was watching something that was just like paradigm shift. So I've been a WWE fan.
Not the Dean Ambrose move.
No. Okay. So I've been a WWE fan since the mid '80s. But the way the product is now pisses me off so much. So I don't want to come at it like I'm a WWE hater. I'm more like a jaded ex-girlfriend who is like, I've thrown all your shit onto the fucking front lawn because you mistreated me. You treated me like shit, and goddamn it, I'm a motherfucking princess. You got to treat me well. You got to take me out to dinner. You got to fucking wine me and dine me. You want to get in these pants? Then goddamn it, WWE, you got to fucking earn it. And you ain't been earning it. You've been fucking releasing everybody. You've been whoring yourself out, and I'm not happy with it. But
SummerSlam.
The bright spots. holy fuck was that Edge?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Rollins match. I mean,
The intro alone was super.
The intro alone was great. But those two,
You can't go wrong with those two.
they could, somebody was saying like, oh, they should. I think Michael Cole said you should show this to all the recruits and up and comers, and
Yeah.
absolutely right.
They should have already been watching.
Those two put on a fucking clinic.
Agreed.
And just the storytelling, psychology, the storytelling with the neck that and
This is like the second or third time that Rollins has done somebody trying to spear him into a pedigree, which I love.
Yeah, they're always cool looking. It's an ugly ass looking pedigree, but at the same time, it's cool.
It's cool though, yeah.
It's kind of like a Volkswagen thing. It's ugly as fuck, but you still want one.
Of course. Well, I don't, but yes, I get the appeal.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for shooting down that.
Roman Cena was good.
I loved it.
Even though I think everybody knew that he was not losing.
I thought, because the way they were building it up, the whole 1, 2, 3, which that promo that those two cut was brilliant.
Yeah, they're great.
I thought, and then fucking Cena doing all these roll ups all the time.
Yeah.
Where he was, and he even admitted, he's like, yeah, I know you're gonna kick my ass, but I just need 1, 2, 3. So
right.
It was like he was fighting from behind the whole time. I really, really like that.
Yeah, same.
But it's it wasn't that like I was hoping Cena would win, but it was I was kind of 50-50, where it's like, okay, I can see it going either way.
Right. Well, and then of course, which I didn't see coming, and I'd been actually waiting for. We got White Onion Head, fucking Brock Lesnar comes out looking like Dean Ambrose from 2014 or whatever.
I think you tweeted that out before everybody else did.
I don't know. I might have.
You were one of the early, because you're like, God damn, Dean Ambrose
looking good. But yeah, that was cool. And what makes it even more fun is this is why I've wanted this to happen for so long, because Paul Heyman. It's like this, and it's weird because it's all going to kind of come down to he's going to be the light on this story, in my opinion, because what's he going to do? But the fun part is, from what I've read, and again, these are all rumors, so don't quote me and then fucking at me or do it, actually. I don't give a shit. But this is the beginning of a Brock Lesnar face turn.
Which, after...
I want it.
Yeah, I mean, after he took Cena to Suplex City, once SummerSlam ended, he was walking around and jaw-jacking fans and high-fiving and stuff. And
I love it.
Back, even WrestleMania, well, not... Before COVID.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID Brock. Even face Brock in 2008.
Thing is, like, he's such a good heel because when he's got Paul with him, he doesn't have to say anything. So he's more, he's a bigger, more powerful presence.
He's a fucking brick shit house.
He just is.
Corn-fed motherfucker.
But I was a huge fan of Brock, and I don't know that this was a face, him as a face. But in the early days when he was talking, and he wasn't very good at it, but I like his personality. Like, when he brings it out for wrestling, it's a lot of fun. Like, remember when he had Money in the Bank and he was coming out bobbing his head like it was a boot box and dancing? Like,
cocky motherfucker.
He's so cool. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Shit all over me if you want to. Brock Lesnar is awesome. If used correctly.
Yeah.
Because he's not Goldberg.
Like, the whole Drew Mac Brock storyline was great.
That was awesome. And people shit all over that Royal Rumble. And honestly, it's one of my favorite Royal Rumbles in many years.
I started to shit on it, but it's one of those things where
it worked. It paid off.
I saw the shine-ola in the shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking back now, I was pissed off when it was happening. I was like, God damn, you fucking camera! And yelling at my TV. A dude in his 40s screaming at guys sweaty guys in their underwear trying to throw each other out of a ring.
It was handled very well by the end of it.
And that whole storyline, and
it led all the way through WrestleMania and the COVID thing. Like, Drew, that did nothing but wonders for Drew. That was all for Drew. It made Brock Lesnar look like a beast, no pun intended, at Royal Rumble. But it was all made to make Drew look like a monster.
And he needed it. Fucking Brock didn't need it.
No, exactly. So
yeah, having him come back as a face is going to be. It's going to be fun, especially if he can just fucking open up and let loose a little bit.
I think he just needs to play around. He knows he's a bad motherfucker. He don't have Paul Heyman talking for him anymore, so now he can just be like, man, I can just kind of play and then fuck everybody up as I want. Like, it's a cool new packaging of Brock if they decide to go that route. There's probably a few other positives in there. Negative, the biggest one, I actually think we should take this time to introduce another little segment.
Okay.
There's a couple names I'm throwing around for this one as well. This is to rope in. This is my way of squeezing the juice from Banned from Ringside podcast. It's a podcast I used to be on for a little while in St. Louis, and I still squeeze that juice out of them so I can get as many of their listeners as possible and for as little effort.
Well, we can make it symbiotic, and like any listener that we have should go follow Banned from Ringside. So
at BFR Pod on Twitter, at BFR
we'll
JCB.
3,000 people from them. They'll get 7 from us. You know it.
They'll be lucky. You might get Cody.
Oh shit! No, Cody, don't leave us, man.
So that being said, at BFR Pod on Twitter, at BFR JCB, at BFR Zach with an H, at BFR Bill. That's your guys. But speaking of at BFR JCB, if you've ever listened to Man from Ringside podcast, you know that Jason is notorious for his meltdowns every week. And so I think I'm going to call it He's Heating Up or something along those lines. I use that sound bit in Banned from Ringside when he starts going nuts. So for the next 30 seconds, I'm going to let JCB jump in and give us his opinion on probably the biggest negative takeaway from SummerSlam this year.
Can we call it the biggest fuck you?
Yeah, he might even say it. We'll see. So I'll give you 30 seconds, and then we'll come right back with you.
He's heating up! What's up, everybody? It's your boy, JCB, Jason Cornelius Bell. I just wanted to talk about this shitty booking decision between Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. I get it. Becky's coming back. She's coming back a couple months early. Maybe this is a counter move to CM Punk. Maybe it isn't. I'll let you tell it. Here's my problem with it. It's not the fact that Becky Lynch comes back. It's the fact that Becky Lynch beats, dare I say, squashes Bianca Belair when you have fucking Carmelo sitting over there in the corner that's been eating pin after pin after pin like a fat kid likes fucking cake, and you decide not to use Carmella then and then pin one of the biggest, arguably, baby faces you've had. They built up this year's Royal Rumble when she beat Rhea Ripley. The Royal Rumble before that, she set the most eliminations by a woman. But no, let's have Bianca Belair be the fucking fall woman here so you can get Becky Lynch back. This is why people hate WWE, because you have set us up for this ride with Belair just to bring back Becky Lynch so she could be a fucking heel. People, it doesn't have to be heel versus face all the time. You can make a good face versus face storyline for the fucking title. It's just that simple, because that's why Becky came back. That's why Bianca Belair is here. That's why she ran down Sasha, is for the title. Don't make it so stupid, WWE. Just make it fucking simple. More importantly, just make it fucking sense. It's your boy JCB. I'm out.
Well, that was something.
Yeah, it's gonna be a reoccurring thing. I don't know if it'll be like a fresh, modern one every week, but I may also kind of go with the theme of Sideways in Time and go back and like rip some of the older episodes rants into this segment as well every week. So NXT Takeover 36, quite possibly the last of this era of NXT. I didn't watch it. I know what some of the matches were.
Loved it.
So give us some quick points on your favorite parts, and then we'll move on from there.
One of the best mid-card storylines ever, which Bill from BFR said this too. But the Cameron Grimes LA Knight storyline for the $1 Million title.
It's the best.
The whole storyline. If you could,
most entertaining thing on NXT television.
I wish that they would do chunks like they have a little thing on the network called Rivals. But I wish they would do like a whole rivalry thing to where you got all the segments, all the promos, and all the matches all in one, and you could just watch it straight through. I would watch that all the time. I would rewatch the Jake Roberts, Rick Rude one all the time. But
yeah, 100%.
Anyway, this rivalry was just the whole thing was spectacularly done, and I can see it ending now, and everything's fine. Bringing DiBiase back, dude was just having a blast.
Did they do something where they DiBiase gave him a WWE replica of the title instead of the?
I will be 100% honest. I missed a little bit of the match.
Okay.
Because I paused it.
I heard something about it, and I was like, "That's kind of hilarious."
Oh, that's pretty funny if you did. I didn't watch NXT last night either,
Oh, okay,
so
that's probably where it came from.
But yeah, so I watched chunks of that match, but I missed part of it. And then the way the rewind feature, it only goes back so far.
Oh,
so,
okay. I got you. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Peacock sucks.
Yeah. Cole O'Reilly. I'm going to do this from the matches that I'm building up to my favorite match tonight. Cole O'Reilly, brilliant. I love the ending. O'Reilly handcuffed to the ropes and he slaps the heel hook on. Cole's gone. We all know Cole was leaving. It's been all but confirmed.
98%.
Yeah.
Accurate.
So having him fall to O'Reilly, only makes sense. But then having him fall to the heel hook also legitimizes that move because we've seen that move how many times?
And it doesn't seem like a finisher until now.
Now it does because the longest reigning NXT champion tapped out, and he tapped out quickly.
And not only that, but Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Like all those things combined, plus we're talking about Adam Cole, the guy who is NXT.
Yeah, and who, in my opinion, modern day Shawn Michaels. And
of course.
I would say, 1.5 times better than Michaels. Michaels, greatest of all time.
He's an evolution of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, he's
sure.
he's the next Pokemon.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
He's, so having
kind of like Brock Lesnar was to Dean Ambrose. But they skipped that middle. They skipped that middle evolution and went straight to the big one. It's like the gold glittery card. Anyways.
Moving along. Heel hook is legitimized now, which is cool because I love Kyle O'Reilly.
I do too.
Ugly as sin. Poor guy does just one ugly dude, but
personality needs some work too. But as far as being a wrestler, he's one of the greatest.
Yeah, it's no stopping that. Dakota Raquel, but then having Kaylee Ray show up, makes me worried that WWE or NXT UK is gone, which sucks because I love NXT UK. It's so different. And
it's harder hit. I mean, it's strong. It's UK strong style.
Yeah, and you get a whole different type of personality over there and stuff. But yeah, so having Kaylee Ray show up, that was cool. But it also, makes me worried that NXT UK is going the way of the dodo. They're going the way of the AWA.
Big strong boy.
I know. Noam Dar, probably the greatest heel.
Yeah.
The greatest unsung heel. Eddie Dennis. Fucking Gallus. I love Gallus. I have the theme song on one of my playlists.
And then also Walter.
That's what I was getting to.
I figured.
Match of the fucking year. I don't care what anybody says.
You're not the only one saying it.
Oh my God. I absolutely love Dragunov. I've loved him since the moment I saw him. I was like, holy shit, look at this little fucking Russian spaz. Yeah. Fucking love him. And
he's ripped.
Yeah.
Dude is massive.
And dude, I mean, from when I started watching NXT UK 2 years ago, I almost sounded British. 2 years.
2 years ago.
When I started watching that to watching it, just seeing him develop and grow and just, oh my God. I mean, he's just fucking, and the way he won that, again, that fucking chokehold and that immediate tap by Walter,
which that's the part that's what did it. Mm-hmm. Like Walter didn't sell it like he was, I'm gonna tap him. Yeah. No, he fucking tapped.
Yeah, he was just like, nope, that's it. No, this fucking hurts. This hurts.
Perfect.
And fucking brilliant. See, but I've heard that Walter doesn't want to come to America.
I don't blame him, honestly, especially yet.
I'm Patriot Pat, and I don't blame him.
It's not even an American thing. I think just in general, first of all, that's his family's all there. Yeah. It's a lot of travel, a lot of expenses that he pays, for that travel. And so he spends a little time in NXT in America. Then what? Because apparently Vince isn't even all that high on him.
Really? See, I heard he was. So.
I've heard both sides as well, but that's
also,
the toss.
Vince's highness on people changes with the wind.
speaking of Lord Humongous, I'm only going to mention this for a second because I went on a rampage, no pun intended, in AEW, but
Okay, just for nothing else.
Meme Lord of the Week.
For nothing else, just follow Lucha Chris.
At Lucha Chris TV.
At Lucha Chris TV. Follow him on Twitter just to see his little bit on how they treated Karrion Kross. I laughed my ass off and I felt guilty laughing because they shockmastered the fuck out of Karrion Kross.
Except for Karrion Kross didn't trip over or anything, but dude, like, okay.
They
whatever.
straight up red roostered him.
You know, the funny thing is, though, if say Lucha Underground was still a thing and they did that to Karrion Kross and Lucha Underground, I wouldn't be shitting on it. Because Lucha Underground is known for being over the top and having that. And so is WWE. What the fuck did they do to Karrion Kross, dude?
What did he do?
And it's not even the mask. I'd even be okay with the mask. It's funny because he doesn't like wearing masks and all of a sudden he has to wear one. But besides that, it's not even the mask that bothers me. It's that fucking red bikini top. Like, he looks like Borat. Anyway.
So I forget the name of the movie, but you did the screenshot of Sean Connery.
I forget what the name of the movie even is.
Something like Zarda's from.
If anybody, I said something like along the lines, if anybody wants to say the WWE creative doesn't do deep dives for their story or their character development, they're full of shit.
Okay.
But anyways, I had to throw that in because it worked too well not to. So, anything else about NXT you want to talk about? Other than that match just ruled.
Samoa Joe winning the title, I did like, and I figured Cross is going main roster. But I'm pissed because, this, like I said, this is the end of NXT as we know it.
Thing is, I am kind of optimistic because if they're saying, other than this, they're getting rid of all the small guys, which is what built NXT. But if they're making it developmental, it makes sense, and it makes sense for the small talent as well. Because if guys like Gargano and Ciampa don't have any plans on going to the main rosters, then what is the future for small guys in NXT? There isn't one. So I'm not saying I agree with that way, but it makes sense in that way. Also, NXT was better on the network.
Yeah.
It trailed a little bit as it was on USA. And then now it's got moments, but I remember NXT being the first ever. This NXT is the best NXT of all time every week, right? So when it was on the network, that was our thing. Every time we were like, man, I don't know how this week's NXT could be better than last week's NXT, but it is. And that's what people say about Dynamite every week. So in that era, things were just better. So maybe going back to their roots in that sense, maybe that'll help a little bit, as long as they don't turn it into a fucking reality show. So anyway, moving on from this epic week in wrestling, good or bad, I also wanted to chime in on, and I'm going to talk about these guys a lot. I'm going to talk about a lot of, we may actually throw in some segments here on the show. I'm going to definitely dedicate specific things to our YouTube channel, which is up but has nothing on it yet. But I want to highlight the indie circuit of pro wrestling.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
He played Zed in the movie Zardoz. Zardoz. Came out in 1974.
That movie was probably just as good as Karrion Kross's debut to Raw.
Yeah, that's when we got the. That's where we got the beautiful Karrion Kross outfit. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine.
Back to the indies.
Yeah, so I've over the years, I was a fan many years ago when I was a teenager, even when the indies blew all kinds of nuts. I was even trained in that era, if you want to call it that, and it left a really sour taste in my mouth. But over the years, obviously, wrestling has evolved and changed for the better, where the indies have really kind of helped build what we know as pro wrestling in and outside of the WWE. I mean, they swooped up all kinds of independent promotions for their network. A lot of their wrestlers, like really, if you look, guys like Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, like a lot of those guys all came from the indies.
Mm-hmm.
And that
pretty
was
much all of NXT.
Exactly. And then, obviously AEW is the big money TV version of the indies. That's my opinion, the way I see it. But over the years, especially in Missouri, and I know it's outside of Missouri as well, the indie promotions have blown up. They have unbelievable talent. And a lot of them are coming back now all of a sudden because WWE decided they didn't want to pay him anymore. And so, so like I said, I'm gonna dedicate some time every week, if not all, like a lot, on the YouTube channel to showcasing some of our favorite indie promotions. One of which, obviously, we're based in KC here at Sideways in Time. And so, what do we got? we got Journey Pro Wrestling, baby.
We got one of the best indie promotions around.
One of the newer promotions around. They've only been around a few years. It was kind of what birthed from the NWL days, if anybody was familiar with NWL St. Louis and Kansas City. Once that folded, Journey Pro kind of popped up. They're very closely affiliated to St. Louis Anarchy, which is another fantastic promotion. So anyways, this Saturday, I'm going to be going alone.
Yeah, because some dumbass went to Vegas and forgot to request the day off.
See, the thing is, Patrick's really, really good at not requesting off on time for anything.
Yeah, this is what, the third Journey Pro show, which, while I got you on air, I know you're trying to sell the tickets.
he's got money in hand.
Okay. Oh. He's trying to sell the tickets.
That's my favorite sound.
Everybody to hear it. So the tickets were $25. He bought one for me and my wife. And I told him to sell them, but if he can't sell them, I will pay him back. Because for some reason, he thought, he's like, dude, I can't be out that money. He sent me that text, and I was like, God damn it, Chris, I'm going to fucking pay you back.
I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to figure out what to do if the tickets didn't sold, and they might have sold, actually.
Okay, if they sell, then use that towards September's, and then I won't request that date.
Fucking asshole. So anyways, this Saturday at Lemonade Park in Kansas City, Missouri, we have Journey Pro Wrestling Weekend at Journeys. It's awesome. They theme all of their shows to either some awesome. I mean, their name is Journey Pro.
Yeah, and their logo looks like
it's the Journey logo.
Yeah,
right. So, but they every show they theme to either, like the Christmas one last year or the year before was it was literally called Journey Pro. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Like it's awesome. So anyway,
my first one was Journey Pro Space Age Love Song.
Yeah.
Which was a
2.
Oh yeah,
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo. That's right.
Yeah, it's a very, very classy event. So, so like I said, this one's gonna be at Lemonade Park this Saturday. If you're in town, it's sold out before they even had the whole card announced, just like the last show.
Yeah.
They don't even have to. They could literally not announce any of the card, and they would probably still sell out. So I'm just gonna go over a couple of the matches.
Excuse me,
because. You should be.
I'm just burping in hopefully the diffuser. Like
I was gonna say, I'm over here chugging down the Smoothie King.
I'm sucking down a Quick Trip Coke Zero with cherry.
Oh, you're getting that body in shape.
Yeah.
That was weird. Anyways,
bowling pin shape.
So we've got Stallion Rogers, formerly Kurt Stallion.
Yeah.
If you knew him from NXT and 205 Live, otherwise we knew him from St. Louis and Kansas City long before that. Fantastic guy, or wrestler and guy, versus Jeremy Wyatt. He's the Gateway Heritage Champion. That is going to be awesome. I don't know if it's under Pure Wrestling rules yet or not, but I would assume it is because it's Jeremy Wyatt and that's what he always does. We've got Moonshine Mantell versus Dark Order's Allen, 5 Angels.
Yeah, that's Dark Order from AEW. That Dark Order.
And Moonshine Mantell, who's been on AEW before. He's made appearances all over the place. The dude is a giant man.
Is he the guy I was scared of at the last show?
Yes.
Yeah, he looked at me and I peed.
Yeah, I peed before he looked at me. Originally, we were going to have the Besties in the World versus Matt and Mike Seidel. Unfortunately, Matt Seidel was not able to make it to this show, but he did tweet and say he owes us one. So instead, Mike Seidel is going to be joining his original tag team partner in the Enlightenment, which is actually going to be super dope.
Oh, Besties and are phenomenal, and the Enlightenment. And if you've seen AEW,
Yoga Baby.
If you've seen AEW, you've seen Mike Seidel.
Yeah,
dude is phenomenal.
Yeah, both of the Seidels are fantastic, and the Enlightenment is great. And then we are going to have Everett Connors versus Serge D, another banger.
Oh, he was Everett Connors. He was the one that wore the jumpsuit. At the last. Okay, yeah, dude He's good. He's good.
He really is, and he's another one that's been around for a long time. Took a pretty extensive break there for a little bit, but has come back super strong. That's going to be a dope match. And then I'm not going to go over the entire Ticket to Ride match rules, but it's a gauntlet match.
Basically, it's a gauntlet match, and whoever has the most wins or the most time
Tickets.
the most tickets wins the title shot.
Yeah, for either the tag titles or for the Gateway Heritage Show.
Which the Gateway Heritage is the title for
St. Louis Anarchy and Journey Pro.
Yeah,
it jumps back and forth.
It's a co-title.
Yep. Yeah, so the entrance, the opponents, I'm not sure if this is the full lineup just yet, but we've got Gary J. Awesome.
Gary fucking J.
Exactly. The One Manders, of course. Fucking
it's
epic.
a scary motherfucker.
I always forget how to pronounce the last name, but Heidi Howitzer.
Probably Howitzer.
She's a bad motherfucker.
She looks scary. I don't know her, but yeah, her picture, I peed a little when I saw her.
I did something. She's awesome. And this is her Journey Pro debut. We've also got Kenny Alfonso, another fantastic regular in the Missouri.
Yeah, that dude's got a body like a Greek god.
One of my personal favorites, Christian Rose. We've got, let's see, and some other ones. My phone's jacking up. But, the Iceman, frontman Jasi. We got Dallas Cade, who wasn't able to wrestle at the last show for whatever reason.
Yeah.
He co-hosted, which was awesome.
Dallas.
Yeah, Dean Alexander, Evan Jalistico, and there's a few more as well, but my phone's being funky. So, yeah, anyways, join me, not Patrick, this Saturday at Weekend at Journeys. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait.
You can join me at work Saturday, hang out with me.
Yeah, come buy a hot dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be fun. And like I said, get used to us talking about indies because I finally resubscribed to my IWTV and I shared my password with Patrick. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
Yeah, great. Now we're breaking FCC laws and just broadcasting.
FCC. But yeah, so we're gonna be paying some, if not as much attention to the indies as we do WWE and whatnot. But
one thing we had talked about doing too is just doing an indie review. So we'll pick an indie show, watch it, and we'll give our thoughts on it. And it can be any indie show. As long as it's on IWTV
or Powerhouse, I think is the other one. I don't subscribe to that one, but if enough people want me to find stuff that's on there that's not on IWTV, I'll get that too.
Yeah, and
I don't pay for Netflix or anything, so I'm alright with it. Or Peacock, because fuck them.
So I bought a year's subscription, and then they released everybody.
Yeah.
Luckily, the Rockford Files is on Peacock, so I'm good. I'll get my money's worth out of that.
Oh, and speaking of Rock, Little Rock or whatever his show is called, which is actually fucking awesome. By the way.
Yeah, Young Rock,
whatever.
Baby Rock.
Everybody hates Rock.
Pebbles. But yeah, so
it's fun.
if there are indie shows, if you're an indie wrestler, you want us to fucking spotlight the show you're on, we'll watch it and we'll give a review next week or two or something like that. So
I'm gonna tell you how bad you suck, and then not show up to the shows because I don't want you to. Actually, I'll just show up without my mask on. And they won't know.
Oh yeah, I'll show up without my beard.
Oh fuck! Don't do that. Nobody needs that.
No, because if I showed up without my beard, I would be showing up to the next show without my wedding ring because my wife would leave me.
Yee.
That's another thing. We'll also be having a segment with my wife every now and then. She'll be doing pre-recorded stuff for you. So
it's gonna be a variety show of just.
We're gonna get everybody.
Bullshit.
Fucking Lucha's dad is gonna be on.
He might. He hates wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't hate it. He just thinks it's super dumb. All right, so that will wrap up this portion of it. I will wash my hands of that part of the segment.
You need like an outro song.
Yeah.
Indie times. Da, da, da.
I'm gonna use that exact moment. So this is the moment in time. This is the Sideways in Time main event.
Ding ding.
I'll put one of those in there.
In this corner.
So this is like I said, maybe what if, maybe whatever we call it. But like I said before at the beginning of the pod, this is going to be what if Sting joined as the third man instead of Hulk Hogan in the NWO. If you're listening and you don't know much of the history of the NWO or wrestling in general, which if you aren't, I don't know why you'd still be listening at this point. But on May 19th, 1996, Nash and Hall wrestled their final match in the WWF at the time. Everybody knows this as the infamous curtain call. We're not going to go into all those details, but less than a week later, on May 27th, 1996, Hall appears on Nitro. They go through this whole bit where he's poking, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Hey, yo. Got a cease and desist on that.
I should have brought a fucking sweatshirt. It is cold in here.
It's kind of chilly, and I'm drinking a smoothie. And then he goes on throughout the weeks poking at there's another guy that's coming. Sure enough, as everyone knows, it's Kevin Nash.
Which I will interject real quick. Watching all this stuff back, there's a lot of fucking denim going on.
Oh, yeah, it was a denim heaven. I mean, they must have been shopping at Hardcore Holly's.
Holy shit.
Yeah, denim Holly. So, yeah, there's a lot of denim going on in 1996. So, yeah, Kevin Nash shows up shortly after. The story implies that they don't work for WCW. They're not necessarily implying that they work for WWF still, but maybe that they're just free agents from the WWF. Fast forward a little bit, Bash at the Beach, July 7th, 1996. Bischoff promises a six-man tag match he called the Hostile Takeover for the main event that involved Lex Luger, Randy Savage, and Sting versus Hall, Nash, and whoever the third man is supposed to be. They go through with the match without the third man. Everybody's beaten up. Actually, Lex, I think, if I'm not mistaken, had a had a real injury that kind of led to his disappearance for a little while. Nash and Hall have Macho Man down, beating on him and whatnot. There's a little bit of dead air. It's kind of dragging on a little bit, so something's going to happen. And then what do you know it? Hulk Hogan in red and yellow, I'm a real American.
Storming down to the ring, pointing his finger.
I think he might have had a black eye. I don't know if that was the same time period or not. But it was just, anyways, I always remember him having a black eye because I like the thought of him getting punched in the face. So anyways, he comes out. At this point, although he is still the Hulk Hogan everybody remembers being, the ultimate babyface, he was kind of sort of getting like the Cena treatment where he was getting progressively more booed at certain shows. People were starting to sour on the whole say your prayers, take your vitamins thing.
Oh, the Hogan black eye was at WrestleMania 9.
Okay. So anyways, that was way before. He comes running down to the ring. Everybody, I would assume, sitting in the crowd is thinking, "Oh man,
he didn't run."
No,
Hogan couldn't run at that point.
He one-hipped his way down to the ring.
Walked. He shook his head and shook his finger and pointed.
Yeah, so
24-inch pythons, brother.
Yeah, so he gets down to the ring. I think it's supposed to be assumed that he's going to come to the aid of Macho Man, his on and off again rival and partner. Instead, he pushes the referee out of the way, drops the leg on Macho, thus being the third man and the apparent mind behind the creation of the NWO.
And chaos ensued.
And we all know history from there.
So filled with garbage.
Right. So, they were getting pelted. And Bischoff quoted saying that somebody, I think Conrad asked him what the worst thing that was thrown at him in the ring, and he said chewing tobacco.
People's dip cups.
Yeah.
Or dip spit cups.
So what we're going to do here is...
Sorry.
Awful. So Pat and I are going to jump in the time machine. We're going to go back to July 7th, 1996, Bash at the Beach. Another part of the little history that I forgot to throw in there was that, again, 83 weeks with Eric Bischoff and Conrad Thompson, they had discussed what was going on, and there's a lot of rumors going around. Bischoff squashed them all. The only person that was ever thought to be the third man other than Hogan was Sting.
What? Not Shawn Michaels?
Right? That was a question.
Not Mabel?
Oh, my God. Tell me. We don't have time for that. So the reason being, because Bischoff wanted Hogan. That was the only name he wanted to pull this off. And with good reason. It all made, once it actually happened, it made perfect sense. That being said, there were elements that may have kept Hogan from joining and flipping heel and doing the third man thing. Very valid points. His wife was worried that it would kind of tarnish his legacy with children and the whole face thing and his merchandise, their bread and butter, which is valid. That is a valid point.
It is valid, but at that time, like you said, he was getting stale. It was just,
Well, and Hogan had invited Bischoff to his place to even go over this idea with him, where he was basically shown the door.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, like, thanks for coming out. It's a great idea, but no thanks. I'll see you another time. Fast forward a little bit. They're having a conversation on the phone again, and
Works for me, brother.
Hogan's, who's the third man, brother? And Bischoff's, well, I mean, I hope it's you. And he goes, it's me, brother. I'm paraphrasing. But they had Sting as a backup, because if Hogan had said no, they still had to pull somebody to do this. And Sting, although there were some other choices that might have worked, Sting makes sense, except for that he was never a WWF guy, which kind of...
He was never an outsider, which, yeah.
But he was a massive face, and he was the face of WCW. So that idea would have worked. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in the time machine. We're going to go back to 1997 at Bash of the Beach.
Did you gas it up?
1996. No, but I threw a bunch of cans and banana peels and stuff on there. And we're going to go back to 1996, Bash at the Beach, and we're going to discuss what if Sting would have become the third man instead of Hogan.
Can I drive this time?
Do it.
Okay.
Oh,
no,
you're going to drive the time machine. I thought you meant drive this segment.
No, you drive the segment. I'll just interject with my quick wit.
All right.
Charm.
That's what you're here for, babe. So let's just start with Bash at the Beach.
Okay.
So, and we're just kind of spitballing this. There's not a lot of homework that's been done necessarily to go into what we think would happen, but we got to understand it may not seem that big of a deal, but just like Back to the Future, the history of pro wrestling would have drastically changed had Hogan never turned heel or went to, because you never know, Hogan may have joined later down the road because maybe Sting didn't work out, whatever. There's so many scenarios. But the history of pro wrestling would have changed forever. The space-time continuum would have changed forever.
In an alternate universe.
Right. So Nash and Hall are beating up Randy Savage in the ring. Next thing we know, now at this time, was he Crow Sting or was he still Beach Sting? I think he was still Beach Sting.
He was growing his hair out.
Yeah. He had like the Hogan bob.
He had that.
I mean, not Hogan, Flair bob.
Yeah.
Which works even better.
He was done bleaching his hair.
Right.
And so he was still kind of that, not pure surfer Sting, but he was more surfer than
he was transitioning into something, whether they knew it was going to be the Crow Sting or not.
Yeah, because Hall came up with the Crow thing. So Hall and Nash just got there. So he wouldn't have been the Crow.
Okay.
So
perfect though, because that's the ultimate face Sting. When he was Crow Sting, he was still a face, but he was kind of the anti-hero.
Yeah, he was Punisher.
So let's say Beach Sting, Bash at the Beach. He comes walking out. Everybody thinks he's going to save the day. Now, granted, he was in this match, so that would have had to change, or he wouldn't have had to walk out. He could have popped up at the end of the match to save Macho.
Or he could have been fighting or not tagged in the match at all, and then come in and
exactly. Any one of those scenarios could have worked. Just out of nowhere puts Macho in the Scorpion Deathlock. Just laying it on him. Hall and Nash get in. They're like, oh, yeah, it's on. Gets up. They all do the too sweet. And then Sting, okay, so you might have better insight on this because I was not a WCW guy growing up as a kid. I didn't watch, okay? I kind of knew what was going on, but I did not watch WCW. As a WCW fan, and you watched WCW at the time, what would the impact have been in the crowd that night if Sting would have turned and helped out Hall and Nash?
Sting, I think it would have been big. Don't get me wrong, because Sting was babyface throughout the whole time. It would have been a big deal. But don't think it would be as big a deal as Hogan. And
Hogan was on another level.
Yeah.
He was a superstar outside, in and out of wrestling.
Not taking anything away from Sting, but I mean, when you're talking about wrestling, you can't not talk about how big Hogan was.
Of course.
But
let's stay with. Remember, Hogan didn't turn, so we got to completely wipe that out.
Hogan's hanging out in backstage, or
he was in Hollywood,
or it's Hogan and Savage and Luger.
Yeah, right. You could have done that, of course. Let's go with that.
So Hogan's in the 6-man tag. The 5-man tag
right.
at this point. And then, chaos ensues and somebody's lying on the ground. I think if Hogan was the one that was beat down and Sting came in, did the leg drop on him, I think it would have had more impact.
This is going to be a harder segment than I thought because, this one specifically, because Hogan's involved. Hogan doesn't lay down. He doesn't get beat up.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So
if he would have agreed to do that, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Which maybe he would have because of the severity of this angle.
I mean, everybody bags on Hogan for not doing jobs and stuff, but he did do jobs.
He was smart on the business, though.
Yeah. He didn't really do a lot of jobs in WWE, but at this point in his career, he had laid down for people. I mean, you look at the normal timeline, shit, he did jobs for Billy Kidman. I mean,
touche.
Touche.
So would things have been thrown in the ring? You think? I think they still would have.
Yeah, I think they would have. I think it would have been a big shock. I think people would have been pissed and stuff. But then, yeah, I mean,
because that, in my opinion, that would have set up. So again, everything would have changed, which means you have Hall, Nash, and Sting as the NWO. Maybe that's when Sting finally brings out the black and red or the black and white face paint, whether it be the Crow, but still like the old design, but black and white. Like it's a cool image.
Yeah.
Versus in the beginning, it would have to be Hogan, Scott Hall, or Macho Man, and Lex, assuming he wasn't still hurt,
or Flair.
Flair's and that's the other thing. Bischoff said that Flair was left out for the future because they needed somebody for them to. It's WCW. Exactly. So that would have see. This is where I have a problem though, because we have to look ahead, and again, Hogan may have laid down on that segment, but that means that Hogan would have had to have won this feud.
He would have got his comeuppance.
So how long would this NWO thing had run?
It wouldn't have.
Because the whole point behind NWO was to have this faction that builds, that takes over WCW, and NWO becomes WCW.
Yeah,
it wanted a complete overhaul.
It becomes Nitro, and then WCW is Thunder.
It's its own show,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
man, a brand split.
Right. Yeah, so let's fast forward. Okay, so NWO lasted until, off and on, until what, 99? 2000-ish?
The good stuff was up to, 98?
About, because this was 96, 98 was probably where it all started kind of
once they did the Wolfpack split, that's where it kind of...
So let's fast forward to 99. Okay. Is Sting, Nash, and Hall at least still the forefront of what NWO would be, even if they added more members?
I don't think NWO exists in 99.
And see, that's the problem. Because, again, especially if we're adding Hogan into this mix, and I'm not knocking Hogan on this one. I'm saying it makes perfect sense creatively if you go against Hogan as the ultimate face. But where I kind of poked at it a little earlier, say a year and a half, 2 years in of feuding with Hogan and his guys, whoever it may be, a new turn happens. And Hogan joins NWO. Because there's always this could go a million ways. So what if they get Sting out of there, Sting starts to break, right? He's starting to realize that, I don't know, man, like this was all done for the right reasons in the beginning, and I felt like this was necessary, but
Buyer's remorse.
I'm WCW, like maybe Flair's in his ear, he's got like some of the old heads, the fans.
And it would be, it would be a good storyline for him because it would give him the heel turn, which and then you get the redemption arc.
Exactly.
And then he comes back, and then one day he turns on
Right.
Holland Nash and stuff.
Or he doesn't have to turn. He's forced. The turn, not forced like he is forced, but it's a forced turn because it's a double turn. It's WCW's most epic double turn, like the Bret Austin one, where it's Sting, heel Sting, NWO versus where he's still kind of teetering on where he belongs in the mix. This is a couple years later versus Hogan, the ultimate savior of WCW, and the double turn happens there. So Hogan finally does turn heel and joins as the new leader of the NWO, and they throw Sting to the side, right? So then you've got that it's the same feud, but whole new dynamic.
I think at that point it's too little too late. And again, I don't think we're talking about NWO. I don't think that I have, 25 years later in this reality, I don't have my NWO mask that I bought from WWE.com when I was still a shill for their products.
I agree, though.
I say in my Rhea Ripley t-shirt.
That would be, right. That would be a cool thing to see happen, but let's go with that didn't happen. Okay, let's say Sting or NWO kind of implodes, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, not being a WCW fan.
I say it dies out. Or somebody backstage just is, Bischoff gets bored with it. It's not generating.
It didn't work the way he had planned. If it had been
it's
Hogan.
not generating because this was all Bischoff's idea. So so Sting is in there. It's not generating the business, the buzz that he wants, and Bischoff's a smart business dude. I don't think he's going to beat a dead horse. I don't think he's going to shove somebody, or a faction down your throat for so long.
Well, and going with that, they kind of did in the regular timeline. They kind of did beat that horse to death. Even though there were some exciting moments throughout those years with NWO, it just went on and on. There was no end in sight.
But also knowing that they wanted to build up NWO to be its own show, and then they would have their own thing. So,
but that never happened.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back now, and it's like, okay, well, they wanted all these people to be an NWO because they were going to make their own show.
Right.
Whereas when we were watching it in 98, 99, going, who the fuck is not an NWO?
Right.
It's like the only people not an NWO are Mike Tenay and Terry Taylor.
Flair.
And Flair.
And so, so NWO gets its storyline ending, which it never actually got, which could be considered a good thing.
Yeah, because it's still open. NWO never disbanded. They just
right, and
they kind of faded away. They split. They came back together. They different incarnations, but they never fell apart.
Exactly, and Bischoff was also noted as saying nothing against Sting, but if Sting would have been the third man, we wouldn't be talking about NWO in the same way. He said we wouldn't be talking about it at all. I say we would be. It would have been still an epic moment in wrestling history, but it wouldn't have been the impact that it was.
We've been talking about them like we talk about DX, which I know people are like, well, DX was NWO, or DX was WWE's version.
Yeah, they weren't at all the same.
No.
If you really want to break it down, neither one of those. And I was a DX kid. Still to this day.
I have my DX mask I bought at WWE shop.com when I was a shill for their products.
Looking back, though, NWO was far and beyond more impactful. DX may have been a cooler thing for a little while, and in some ways, but NWO had a specific purpose for the business, not for an angle.
DX was the obnoxious teen that's making dick jokes.
Degenerates.
And whereas NWO was like a
force,
a hostile takeover.
Yes,
it was. It was like that's how the invasion storyline should have gone, and
So that's where, because we're going to start running out of time here shortly, but what I wanted to kind of touch on is let's fast forward to 2001. Okay, Vince would still most likely end up with the company, with WCW. I would assume business wouldn't have been any better or worse had this story changed anything. Maybe it would have.
I think business wouldn't have been as good because that's what...
It kept him going forever.
83 weeks.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So,
and then how many weeks after that did they win? They ping-ponged back and forth between the two.
I still think there's always... in an alternate timeline, Vince may have still tried to rehash the invasion angle with the NWO. Would have had to wait a little while, again, because I would assume Hall and... See, this is so hard to do because everything would have been different as far as, like, maybe WCW got swooped up 2 years prior.
Maybe somebody else bought them.
New Japan.
That's another topic. Maybe, that we'll be discussing, other suitors for WCW.
Yeah, that would be a fun one, too. So, just real quick to cap this off, we're in 2021. I don't know what year I thought I was going to say, but we're in 2021. Man, what drastic changes as of the way... Honestly, I feel like NWO did so much good for the future of professional wrestling. Now looking back because of this segment, that we wouldn't have necessarily been any worse off without them, but I feel like that realism that they brought to it, the WWE wouldn't have had to compete as hard, so they wouldn't have been as good. Who knows if we would even still technically have WWE, WWF the way we do now.
Yeah. Well, DX was born out of that. Stone Cold was born out of that. They were direct.
Austin would still be the fucking ringmaster. Or a variation of some just subpar.
Or he would have got released and
maybe went to WCW if it was still there.
Yeah, because he was just a fucking technician.
Right.
He was never supposed to be the man. He made himself the man.
Exactly. So there's so many. We could literally do a whole 2-hour podcast based on breaking down how the business would have specifically changed.
I think one thing, because if you look at that, so NWO never happens, or not. I should say
in the way it did.
NWO. Sting comes in, and the way that Luch, the way that we figured out was that Sting was that it would have fizzled out after a couple of years. It wouldn't have had the quarter-century impact that it's had. Okay, so if you look at WWE in the mid to late '90s, they were still doing a lot of gimmicks. You had Duke the Dumpster Josie, you had Mantar, you had Doink the Clown is still going around.
Doink was fucking awesome.
Oh, I love Doink.
The early Doink, anyway.
Yeah. Goldust. I fucking love Goldust. It's one of my all-time favorites. But still, it was, all those gimmicks and stuff. They had to get rid of those because WCW was doing real shit. They had Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. They didn't have, Diesel and Razor Ramon.
Right.
And, they were going into more real, so WWE had to counter that. Well, if that storyline fizzled, especially Sting, who is like the ultimate gimmick. Nothing against Steve.
No, I got you.
It's
like The Undertaker.
Yeah. The Undertaker was born in that time. The only reason he was able to do it was because Mark Calloway was fucking phenomenal. Just like the only reason Kane, Glenn Jacobs, Sting, Steve Borden, they're all phenomenal. They all, so you don't get into fucking, you suspend reality with those characters,
right?
Which is cool for a couple of characters. But if NWO didn't happen, I think you would have had a fuck ton more gimmick. They
would have had to try something because the idea of doing the reality-based stuff may have sparked eventually. It would have had to.
Yeah, I think maybe we'd be 10 years behind. We'd be watching.
I agree.
10 years or so, 15 years. So the caliber of what we have now, or what we would be watching now, would have been what we in the alternate timeline. What we watch now would be like what we watched in the normal timeline in 2010. I think I got that right. My brain kind of hurts thinking of that. And I think I peed a little.
You've been peeing a lot during this
I drank
episode 0.
I drank a quick trip, a big quick or whatever the fuck it's called. Quick stop. Super.
Got that? Good one.
It's Coke Zero with cherry.
So speaking of
crushed
zero,
ice.
Crushed ice.
I like that better. But anyway.
Yeah, so, we kind of fizzled off at the end of this one.
Big Q. That's what it's called. The Big Q.
That's like a somebody would have ended up being named that if NWO would have been led by Sting. Big Q, Big V.
Yeah.
God. So it kind of fizzled off at the end of there, but I think that's appropriate considering so would have NWO either way. I think the way it went out kind of just fizzled out, but the memory is strong of how it started and where it started going.
Well, okay, like when you think of NWO now, who do you think of?
Hogan, Nash and Hall,
Yeah.
like the three, you know.
You
Although
know,
unless you're in the WWE people that pick the Hall of Fame and they pick the original 4 members of the NWO and they bring in X-Pac instead of Paul White, who was the actual third member or fourth member.
But like you don't think of Scott Norton.
No.
You don't think of Stevie Ray.
You do eventually.
You don't think of Buff Bagwell.
No.
No. I mean, yeah.
Or the LWO or the BWO or because there's another one. We could go take it to ECW and there would have never been a BWO, which means Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, and I can't forget the other guy's name.
It's never an ECW.
Would have never. Oh, I loved it, but would have never done BWO, which was one of the top angles in ECW for a while. So, anyways, we're gonna have to work on how to tighten up because it's so hard to do. This one specifically is just very hard.
Yeah, there's so many fucking branches.
Yeah. So maybe next time I'll actually do a couple like Doc does on the chalkboard in the second movie of the timeline continuum. I'll break some things down in the future. But what do you guys think? I mean, you can always, like I said, comment us, add us, do whatever you want to do on Twitter. At Lucha Chris TV, at Gone Patrick, or just look up Patriot Pat. But yeah, and then let us know what you think of what would have happened had Sting been the third man instead of Hogan. I'm not sure which one we're gonna do next week, but I'll make sure we post that out as soon as we figure it out.
Do we want to let them vote? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do a poll. We'll do a poll on the.
Okay, here. Let me pull up. We got a list. I'm just gonna pull.
Well, we can do it. We can do it on the Sideways in Time or Twitter as well.
Well, yeah, but here let's give what 3 options?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Option 1: WWE waits to do the invasion story until the bigger contracts are available. That's one. We did Sting was the third band. Okay, number 2, the curtain call never happened, and Triple H wins the King of the Ring.
Ooh,
that's a good.
That's another tough one.
And
yeah, you can go dark.
he knows exactly what I'm looking. Okay, okay. So
any one of the dark ones.
We'll go the darkest of the dark. Then Benoit doesn't snap.
Yeah.
And that was from @DAWGG69.
Oh, that's my boy Dog.
Yeah.
Woof,
By
woof.
Twitter. Okay. So yeah.
He's going to be one of our loyal listeners, I would assume, too, because Bill's not a host on this one. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Curtain call, Benoit doesn't snap, and WWE waits to do the invasion. So we'll put a poll up on, Facebook and Twitter?
Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, and...
just let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts on which one of those you want us to do for the next one. Give us your thoughts on what you think would have happened had Sting been the third man instead of Hogan. Give us any and all feedback on this episode in general, just so we can kind of work out our kinks here.
Yeah, what
kinks?
Oh.
Plenty of those.
Tell us what you like, what you didn't like, we'll
mostly what you liked.
Yeah, tell me how pretty I am, because my self-esteem is pretty low.
So that's the other thing too. I'm just gonna move on past that real quick before I get distracted by your beauty.
He's looking away.
Yeah. So right now I'm recording this through a whole setup with the soundboard and all that.
We're actually in the same room.
Yeah. So that may change here a little bit. We're going to go back and forth a little bit. I'm using without throwing myself under the bus, I'm using a really old laptop to record this right now. And I spent about 7 or 8 hours the other day building some layouts and stuff for...
it's almost as old as the NWO.
Right. Too sweet. I was building some Zoom layouts and stuff so there'd be some cool visuals so that the next couple episodes might be like this. They might be video format, which you guys will be able to watch on our YouTube channel, Sideways in Time Network.
We have a whole network?
Yeah. There's nothing on it.
Well,
but there will
it's
be.
still better than Peacock.
That's
Wait, no, we don't have Rocker.
OnlyFans without porn is better better than Peacock. Anyways, so keep up with us on social media. Tell us how much you love us or you hate us. We don't care either way. Just talk about us in general. Always, of course, make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe, repeat, as JCB would say. Our buddies and older brothers over at Band from Ringside Podcast, again, on Twitter, at BFR Pod, at BFR Zach with an H, at BFR JCB, at BFR Bill, I'm out of breath.
Just put it at BFR and
They'll all pop up. And then, of course, again, at Gone Patrick on Twitter, at Lucha Chris TV on Twitter. Let's get out of here, man. I know you got to go to the bathroom. I got to put a jacket on.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty cold. And I got to go grocery shopping.
I got to go to work. So you got to take the mask off and go to work.
Oh, man.
So if you see me, you won't know me. Anyways.
Only I have seen under the mask.
Take us out of here, Patrick.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to episode 0, Sideways in Time. The way the space-time continuum works, this may be the 5th episode. Who the fuck knows?
Good point.
We don't know how this crazy thing works. We might have fucked everything up, you know? But anyway, Facebook, Twitter, Sideways in Time. Follow us. And,
also, Anchor. We're uploading these to Anchor. They're going to go to Spotify, iTunes, all that at some point. So keep up on whichever podcast network you
platform.
use. Yeah.
And, and fucking, if you like it, share the fuck out of it. Tell people about it. And if you like it, tell all your friends. And if you hate it, we hope you don't have any friends.
He's not wrong.
That's how I ended when I hosted at the comedy clubs. So anyway, we'll see you, next week?
7 days.
Yeah, and all right, guys. So for Lucha Chris, I am Patriot Pat, and we are out of here.
See you guys on Saturday, Journey Pro.